Ladies and gents, this is Improbable Tales of Survival by the channel Salmonella Academy. So survival. Well, the most famous thing comes to my mind is the movie 127 Hours, where a guy got trapped. That was a true story, by the way, where the guy got trapped in some kind of canyon, had the hand broken, and it's just survived for 127 hours before somebody came and pick him up. And that's not even the worst of it. There are some stories like there's a story about a 72-year-old lady who got lost in some kind of a desert, who just got out of a car and walked away. You shouldn't do that, by the way. Walking out of a car is a massive issue, but she walked away from there and survived for days, I think, because she read some kind of book on survival. It's just ridiculous. 72-year-old, that's old. She was really old and she survived, and that's just ridiculous. I mean, when I'm thinking that, like, I'm right now at this age, I'm not sure if I would survive that much, and she survived. What does it say about me, man? So this is ridiculous. There was also some story about some soldiers who got landed in some kind of a tribe, a cannibal tribe, and they survived there. I don't know how they just stayed away from this cannibal tribe and survived on their own without getting detected, but they did. That was just ridiculous. I mean, when you have to understand that you have to do something so somebody comes rescue you. So you have to make some kind of scene, some smoke or something, some kind of signaling. But at the same time, you have to also make sure that tribe doesn't see you, otherwise they'll eat you. It's just ridiculous. There are so many stories like that. It's just ridiculous. There's a story about some guy who fell down some kind of hole in some glacier or something. I don't know, in deep, feet and feet down in some kind of mountain or something. He survived there for days. I don't know how. How the hell did he get the food or whatever. There is some grim stories about people who was 10 or 15 people were lost. Only 4 or 5 were brought back because they ate the others. It's just ridiculous, man. When I think about these stories, I'm like, after a few days, I'm dead. I don't know how. First of all, I don't understand. I don't know how I'm going to eat another human just to survive. I can't process that. I'm dead by then. I don't know much about survival too, so it's just ridiculous. In this modern times, we don't think about survival because we live this life. We don't think about if we got trapped in jungle or some kind of desert, what we do. We don't think about that. But this is some good tools to have to learn how to survive. So let's watch this video.
Thanks to Dashlane for sponsoring this video. Hey kids, the human spirit is a very powerful thing. With the right temperament, it can allow us to survive things you wouldn't believe. However, some people are stronger than others. For example, I've never so much as broken a bone in my life. Haven't been hospitalized since that first time 20 years ago. So I'm like 90% certain if I'm ever forced to dance with death, my soul's pussying out to the great beyond first thing. On the other end of the spectrum, you got guys like Phineas Gage. Gage was a 25-year-old railroad worker in mid-19th century Vermont. He and his crew were busy gang blasting rock to prepare the road bed for a newly planned route. This involves a big hole being drilled into the ground, filled with gunpowder, and packed down using a tamping iron. Well, being the gentleman and scholar that he is, Gage decides to lean forward and look directly into the hole, right? Now, the first rule of gun safety is to never look down the front of a gun. Everyone knows that. Gage basically just turned the earth into a gun and decided to put his head right in front of its gaping barrel, and wouldn't you know it, the powder goes off. The tamping iron shoots up into his cheek, moseys right on through his frickin' brain, and goes soaring out the other side, landing 80 feet away, all smeared with blood and thought juice. Now, by and large, Gage should have dropped dead immediately and been thrown into a ravine for his blatant disregard for OSHA regulations, and that would have been the end of it. But I guess Shiva Gautama Christ-chan, the one true god, decided Gage still had unfinished business down here on Shit Outta Luck 3, because after a few minutes of twitching on the ground, he got up, looked around, and
so very shit out of luck. What the hell is that reference from? Man, how the hell did this guy survive? Look at that. He has a hole through his brain. Only shock alone should kill him. Damn. If not other things, shock alone should kill him. But how the hell did he survive?
and thought, well, now's a good time as any for my yearly checkup. According to the doctor he went to, while Gage was retelling the story of what happened, he suddenly started vomiting all over the place, the effort of which, and I quote, pushed out about half a teacupful of the brain, which fell upon the floor.
Oh,
He
God.
didn't say what they did with it after. I'm picturing his dog just running over and immediately scarfing it down, then being plagued with the memories of a human railroad worker for the rest of his life. In the months following, Gage made a near complete recovery, physically anyway. He did lose a bit of his mind, which caused him to lose his mind a bit. Whereas Gage was once an upstanding, hardworking citizen, his untimely brain blast transformed him into an angry, incoherent drunkard, mumbling, quote, the grossest profanity whenever he deemed fit, and showing little to no regard for human life whatsoever. Naturally, he was fired from his job at the railroad, so Gage ended up wandering the earth, earning money any way he could. For a while, he hung out at Barnum's American Museum in New York City, basically making an exhibit of himself, standing there with a tamping iron like, hi, this went through my brain. Bye! He later had a stint as a farmhand in California and a stagecoach driver in Chile, which I don't know who let the guy with severe brain trauma and no depth perception drive a vehicle, but whatever. Over time, he actually became a lot more functional until finally, 10 years later, when his brain remembered, oh yeah, I shouldn't exist, leading to Gage having a bunch of seizures and dying at age 36. A similar story happened with one Ron Hunt in 2003.
Man, everybody sees that videos like, damn, that was surreal, isn't that funny? And when I see that, man, what the that's really effed up thing that happened to somebody, man. That's really effed up. I mean, think about, first of all, I get it is his fault to look down, but still, that is seriously effed up what happened to him, man. His whole life just went away like that. His mental issues, he doesn't even realize he has mental issues because, you know, like Jim Jeffries once said, things about crazy people is they don't know they're crazy.
He was an American construction worker who was drilling a hole above his head when the ladder he was standing on decided to give way, leading to Hunt landing face first on a 1.5-inch auger drill bit. The drill went straight through his left eye and out the back of his skull. To give you a reference of what 1.5 inches of drill looks like,
I won't be able to get through this video, man. This is just too much, man. Ugh.
Here's the actual x-ray that doctors took when Hunt arrived at the hospital. Miraculously, the drill ended up just kind of pushing his brain out of the way, leading to no cognitive impairment whatsoever. Matter of fact, Hunt was perfectly lucid while the doctors tried to figure out the best way to take the thing out of his head. Initially, they considered cutting it out, but that would have been too messy. So eventually they decided to literally just unscrew it from his head, like, alright, hold him still now. Oh, you fucking MILF. Lefty Lucy. Does that mean the top or the bottom? What? It's a rotating circle. And okay, you hold on for one second.
Look, God.
One way the top goes left, one way the bottom. So which? Clearly the one on top. Why? Tell me why. Why clearly? Same reason north is up on the map. It's just common practice. Alright, well, sorry for not subscribing to your Eurocentric propaganda, Dan, you soggy cunt. Anyway, what were we doing? If you think Hunt was just a little too lucky with his incident, don't worry. According to Snopes, he was self-employed and didn't have insurance, so while the accident didn't ruin his life, you can sleep easy knowing that hundreds of thousands of dollars of medical bills and rehabilitation costs probably did. Our next tale revolves around Greg Rasmussen, a British-born animal conservationist who was studying wildlife in Zimbabwe. One day, he got reports of a highly endangered rhino being spotted in the area, so Greg took to the skies in a single-passenger plane to track the beast. Fate was looking down at Greg that day, and after a moment, it said, "No, rhino must die." And a huge gust of wind came out of nowhere, sending Greg into a tailspin, crash landing right in the middle of the untamed African bush. When Greg woke up, he found that his legs looked like used up tubes of toothpaste, so he was essentially trapped right where he was. Arguably worse than that was the fact that Greg was dehydrated before he even took off, hoping to get water at his destination. And just when things looked like they couldn't get any worse, they got worse. A group of elephants showed up and started harassing and straight up stampeding at Greg. With no other option, he starts banging on the wreckage as hard as he could. The elephants went, "Ha!" and decided to leave him alone. He was also approached by a pack of hyenas and actual lionesses on the hunt. But fortunately, animals are all morons, so the same trick worked on them too. Greg spent an entire day and night pinned under the wreckage, fighting off wildlife, severe dehydration, and extreme temperatures before finally being rescued the next morning. Incredibly, after over 100 operations, doctors managed to get Greggy's leggies up and running again. Although he was now 3 inches shorter, which is probably for the best, because now they can just stick the keys to the plane onto top of the fridge so he never has another incident like this again. So, moral of the story, us humans are resilient creatures who will do anything in our power to survive. And just as Greg Rasmussen banged on his destroyed plane to ward off predators in Zimbabwe, you should bang on your keyboard right now to ward off predators online. With Dashlane. In this day and age, cybersecurity and privacy have never been more important, and only a select few people have the time, energy, and know-how to keep their data as safe as humanly possible. With Dashlane, you can take all your passwords and autofill data across all your devices and use the power of
Alright people, go to dashlane.com/Samonella and support the channel. Man, these stories are ridiculous. I would not survive any of this, man. And the way he's saying all these things is really effed up, man. This is one of the hardest video I ever reacted to, man. It just hurted me from the inside, seeing all those drill through the head, that pole completely go through the head. Oh, this is really effed up, man. How the hell did they survive after that? Shock alone should kill them, but didn't. That's just effed up. Humans are not resilient, only some humans are. Otherwise, we are really fragile. Simple things kills us, man. Alright, don't forget to like and subscribe.